Hey, good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. A guy named Satyana said that those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. And that has to do with the fact that history seems to be cyclical in nature. You know, what goes around comes around. There's nothing new under the sun, all those kinds of things. And not only if you don't know your history are you doomed to repeat it, you know, that's kind of like the negative side. The upside is if you know your history and you can see how things have been, you can project that to the future and you can set you and yours up for success. And the thing I want to talk about today is gender roles. I've been reading about this, this sexual harassment, everything from, an unwanted hand on the hiney of somebody all the way up to, aggravated rape. That's going on, and there's this knee-jerk reaction going on in Hollywood. And hey, if someone has assaulted somebody else, then they should be held for that. Well, I just gave a women's self-defense class. What's today? Is today Tuesday? I gave it on Sunday, first day. And one of the things I tell women is don't be around people who are drinking and doing drugs. Right? I mean, it's just a bad combination. Don't go places alone with men. Look at your history. Stuff's gonna happen. Not placing blame there or anything like that. I'm just saying be smart, use your head. There was a time when men didn't let women go anywhere alone. Yeah, they do that in Saudi Arabia. And we think that today it's okay to just let women just go wherever they want because there's this, as Edgar Rice Burroughs called it, a thin veneer of civilization that keeps everybody okay. But that thin veneer of civilization, number one, doesn't exist in some places, and number two, is very thin and can go away very quickly. Why are women preyed upon? Because they're weaker. I mean, they're weaker than men, so stronger men prey on them. I mean, it's just the nature of things. It's historical. Look it up. Let's bring this back to positive. There are many men and women today who, because of this life of ease that we live, with all the mod cons and all the modern things, they've forgotten and are probably unable to fulfill their natural historical roles which will come back around in the cycle of history, that they will either have to perform or suffer for their lack of performance. Example: men are providers, right? You got to go out there and get the meat and bring it back. Go out there and get the food, bring it back. Today, the way men do that is they get a job, they go make the money that allows them to then get the food and bring it back, right? Allows them to bring the food in. And if you want to do really, really well in this modern world, you'll get a really, really good job and make a lot of money to do that. So they're fulfilling the concept of bringing home the meat. Same thing, the other role historically that men have is protection. Protection of the hearth, the home, the family, protection of the village, protection of the tribe. And so men, historically, go back just a couple hundred years, some places right now, and then just from there on back, all the way back, and men knew how to fight, at least a little. And today, so many men don't have a clue how to fight. They just don't know how to fight. You got to know how to fight. You got to know how to hunt. Because that cool job that men have today may not be there tomorrow, but they're still going to be men. They're still going to have families, and they're still going to have to, live. And I fear many won't. And so men are supposed to be men, right? There's a reason that men are a little bit rough around the edges compared to women. It's because we're fighters and hunters and we go out there and kill stuff. It's in our nature. Oh, but what about the gentlemen? The gentlemen still are hard men. You can be a gentleman and be hard. And so men, toughen up, get harder. You can't get fit overnight. You can't learn Krav Maga in one lesson. You can't learn how to kill a deer or a pheasant or whatever, by watching a YouTube video. You got to go successfully do it. And so it's time for men to start remembering what it's like to be men. You know, maybe I'll start the men's retreat here at Shofar Mountain. We'll sit around and beat drums and whoa, booga, booga, booga. You know, they have those, right? I could probably sell something like that. Women's traditional roles were to keep the home. And keeping the home included keeping the children up until about, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there, when girls started helping moms on a different level, and boys at that point, cut the apron strings and go start working with dad and learning, man things. No daycare, not passing these kids off, so that you can go make money so you can buy a Saab Turbo. That wasn't happening. And another really basic historical skill for women is cooking. Cooking from raw ingredients, the most basic ingredients you can get, and making delicious, nutritious, wholesome food for your family, right? And when time comes for your clan, tribe, whatever, when the big feeds happen. There's so many women today who can't cook. They just don't know how to cook. Well, didn't your mama teach you how to cook? Evidently not, right? And so to women, I say, learn how to cook. Honestly, go learn how to cook. Learn how to take flour and sugar and a chunk of meat and rice and some vegetables and, just raw ingredients, and make good, wholesome, delicious food over and over and over and over. Learn how to keep your kitchen. Learn how to organize your kitchen. Learn how to wash those dishes. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, drudgery. That's what we have maids for. That's why we go out to eat, 6 times a week. So I don't have to do that. That's fine. See, this is not me telling you to fire your maid if you have one. This is not me telling you you have to eat at home. This is not even me, although it's almost me, telling you quit buying things that are frozen and easy to prepare. You actually should. It's terrible for you. But this is me telling you, you ought to be very comfortable doing those things, cooking from raw ingredients and cleaning up and stuff like that. Here's the thing, without a dishwasher, without your electricity, without your, can you go do that over fire? Can you go cook a delicious meal over fire? My wife and I are subscribed to this channel. I think it's out of southern India, called Feeding My Village, and it started out really rudimentary, and I was really encouraging the guy in the beginning. His English is good, and they're a pretty rural, almost primitive by our standards, village, and he just cooks food. And actually, in their culture, the men cook, or it seems like the men are cooking a lot of the food. So there's a divergent. But man, they cook some good food over fire, and it's always different. Could you do that? Could you cook good food over fire outside? If you don't have enough firewood, tell your husband to go get some. If you don't have a good fire ring, tell your husband to build you one. Tell him what you want it to look like. Husband, go do that. There's men out there today, again, time, money, leisure, I get it. And so they pay people to do things. They pay people to plant their trees. Again, that's okay if you can afford to do that. As long as, do you know that you can do that yourself? Do you know that you can? How do you know? Have you done it? Have you planted at least 3 or 4 trees? The heavy scut work of gardening. Gardening is kind of everybody's job, right? When certain times of the year when that garden is coming in, it takes a lot of work from everybody to keep it going. But then there are times when women tend the garden and men are out doing the hard things, the construction. And the reason for these roles is twofold. Number one is just brute strength and lack thereof. In a homestead situation, in a grid down situation, in an end of the world as we know it situation, there are going to be many chores and tasks that must be done for us to do well. Us, community, family, whatever, to do well. And so if we line up the chores and we put the best people against those chores who can actually get those things done, it's going to very quickly, I can carry more 2x4s than that 19-year-old girl. I can lift them up over my head more times a day and nail them into something more than this, 26-year-old woman. In general, right? In general. Yes, Ronda Rousey could kick my butt. I get that. But so then that leaves things like other chores that don't require as much physical effort that still need to be done. Well, who's going to do those? The weaker men the weaker members of our clan, group, tribe, family. They still have to get done. It doesn't mean it's a lesser chore. It's just as important to have clean clothes as it is to, have a new shed put up. It's pretty important when the guys are out chopping wood all day and hauling it back in hand-pulled sleds that, they have something good to eat when they come home and they have a nice place to lay their head down. Well, who's making that happen, right? So start thinking about those roles and don't get, a lot of women look down their nose at traditional roles. I know a lot of women look down their nose at my wife. My wife's a college-educated woman. She's done things before. She's worked for really interesting people before. She chooses to live this way. That doesn't make her better than the women who don't. But the fact that she knows how to do these things and some women don't have a clue how to do them, that makes her better. So again, whether you do it or not, you got to know how to do it. And make sure you do. Men, toughen up. Become men. Again, I'm not telling you to quit your job as what's considered a really good job today? A corporate lawyer, right? You're a corporate lawyer. You're bringing in big bucks, man. You're wearing nice clothes. You're going out to eat fine food every day. Awesome. I'm not telling you to throw that away, but I'm telling you, you better be taking time off to work out, learn how to fight, learn how to hunt, and learn how to build things and, carry heavy things. And your hands, you can be a corporate lawyer and still have calluses on your hands. I recommend it. Think about history. Think about historical roles, because everything comes around that goes around, and you got to be ready to handle that. It's because I care about you. It's because I don't want to see the meltdowns that are going to happen. I don't want to see the coulda, shoulda, wouldas that are going to happen. I don't want to see people go, man, I wish I'd only thought to do these things. Take a long-term view of what's coming, base that on historical examples, look at how people live all over the world, and maybe make some changes in your life. You got to man up and woman up. That's not a bad word. All right, I'll see you out there.